Hello and welcome to the Daily Show Nigeria. My name is Henry, and on this episode, we will discuss Nigeria's political dynamics, which has been added amongst the seven wonders of the world, making it number 8. Yes, and in fact, if you think I'm lying, this Ghanaian lady, who by the way is married to a Nigerian man, explains it better.
So I'm a Ghanaian, and my husband is a Nigerian. And he's always telling me stories about Nigerian politics. And sometimes I feel like he's pulling my legs because it doesn't make sense to my Ghanaian mind. So in Nigeria, I think you have two main political parties, APC and who is the other one? PDP. So APC and PDP. And what he's telling me is that if, for instance, APC wins an election, the people in PDP would leave, as in the big men, would leave PDP and go and join APC.
They'll take their supporters with them.
And they'll take their supporters with them to APC. And if at a time in future PDP win an election, those people that left to go and join APC would then leave and go back to PDP and go and tell them, oh, we are sorry, we left, we want to come back. And they'll be taken back and be given appointments.
So my sister-in-law, you really do not need to stop TikTok for any proof. In Nigeria, that is the type of politics we play in the country. In fact, we call it shifting cultivation politics. And guess what? We Nigerians actually invented it ourselves. Yes. And just in case any other country around the world wants to lay claims to its copyright, we in Nigeria started shifting cultivation of politics in this part of the hemisphere. Now, lots of people might doubt this, but that is the truth. Now, so far, we might not understand how this works, but let me just maybe give you some detail, just to explain to us how this works. At the beginning of one administration in Nigeria, we planned corrupt politicians everywhere who would come and fuck up the country. Then, come next administration, we carefully uproot the same corrupt politicians from the last administration as improved seed varieties. Yes, improved seed varieties, people would say. And guess what? We will then replant the same corrupt politicians in another farm. If they apologize, which they often do, by the way, then the new administration will appoint them as ambassadors, ministers, and for those who want to seek re-election as governors and senators, we make them sole candidates of the party. Then they further fuck up the country yet again, and the circle continues. Very simple theory or postulate, lots of people would say. So what this means in summary is that the location of the farm, which of course is the political parties, does not change for every administration. But the corrupt politicians, no. We love them. We love them the way they are, because they are always our darling in this part of the world. So tell me this isn't another 8th wonder of the world as invented by Nigerians. To further buttress this point, ladies and gentlemen, you see in Nigeria, we have 36 states and the FCT, which is the Federal Capital Territory, which is our own version of the Washington, D.C. in the United States, except that at Washington, D.C., they have 24 hours electricity. But in the FCT around Nigeria, it depends on the electricity class you'll find yourself, which starts from class A to F. Call it another version of South Africa's apartheid, which F meaning you are not sure of electricity at all, and A means you have electricity, but there is a caveat. The caveat is you will only have light, right, when the national grid does not collapse. That is particularly during the week. Now, still on the political dynamics that we play in Nigeria, ladies and gentlemen. On our last count, Nigeria is actually quite funny. On our last count regarding the defections, about 32 out of 36 governors, including the governor of the FCT, who, by the way, is the leader of the opposition in the PDP, but has promised not to support anyone in his party, the PDP, who does not support the president, who is in the APC, even when he still is the opposition against the ruling party, which is the APC. Very funny. But each of these governors, as we speak, are all proudly standing on the mandate inside the same party, which is which is the APC. Now, because come to look at it, nothing screams democracy. Nothing screams democracy anywhere in the world more than everyone agreeing at the same time. I mean, both the opposition and the ruling party to work together in the same place for the same goals. Similar to maybe when you get posted to a YX special center where nobody is destined to fail, hence everyone copy the same answer. True. And of course, the destination of this great political pilgrimage, lots of people would call it the Mecca in Nigeria, is the ruling party, conveniently led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who, by the way, said this.
When they accused me of killing opposition, I didn't have a gun. I could have given myself a license when I have the authority. But I can't blame anybody from jumping out of a sinking ship.
Now, for the president, the defection are as a result of a sinking ship. He said he has no license to any gun and therefore he's not killing anybody. Now, some observers have likened the sinking ship story of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to students who suddenly become best friends with their class teacher or lecturer 2 weeks before their exams. But this time, it is the class teacher or the lecturer who bribes the students to be his friends before their exams. I do not know if this makes any sense, because lots of things in Nigeria actually does not make any sense. Now, it all started with one governor. That is how it all started. One governor who defected, then another governor defected, and suddenly it is like the Black Friday sales promo that says, buy one governor, dear president, get the entire state structure for free. But jokes aside, ladies and gentlemen, governors in Nigeria are supposed to be very powerful people because they control resources, they shape policies that could transform their state into an economic powerhouse. In theory, a well-run state by a wonderful governor who understands the power he has comes with the potential to compete favorably with federal government with respect to good governance. That is very important. Good governance, which can impress even the president himself to maybe work harder if he wants to, just to be like the state governor. Now, Alex Otti is always coming to my mind whenever I'm speaking about, best governors. In fact, if there is one governor in Nigeria that could be the best president come 2027, Alex Otti of Abia State is arguably the man. Like it or love it, it is what it is. While he is busy repairing the rot of over 24 years of bad leadership within his country, his state that is, by predecessors, guess what? Other governors are busy doing this. Now, welcoming and seeing of the president like primary school kids on oversized uniforms. Don't you think that is quite hilarious? It is just like maybe very similar to what we witnessed in primary school right there. You see the governors lined up like it's a morning assembly, all of them queuing up and saying, good morning, sir, your excellency, welcome back, your excellency, safe journey, sir, when are you coming back? Please, when you're coming back, bring puff for us and biscuit. At this point, the only thing I guess remaining for these governors is for them to maybe reside the state and capital. Abia, Umahia, Adamawa, Yola, Akwa Ibom, Oyo, Anambra, Awka, and so on and so forth. That is the only thing remaining. Just imagine for a minute, ladies and gentlemen, that all of this time invested just to say bye-bye and welcome to the president was used for good governance 100%. I mean, if they could, for the love of God, remain in their various states, like some of them virtually live in Abuja, But at least listen to their people, understand the problems of their people, solve conflicts, address challenges, create jobs, and most importantly, persuade patriotism and love for the country. Is that too difficult for any governor to do? Really, is that too difficult? I mean, solve real, genuine problems. Maybe I wouldn't be here wasting my time on the Daily Show talking about them in the first place. Now, here is the irony. The same governors, ladies and gentlemen, who were queuing up, claim to be standing on the mandate, are actually busy spending a lot of time standing around the mandate, waiting, watching, hoping to align, as if leadership is something you borrow from Abuja instead of building it at home. Now, so they say they are standing on the mandate, but from outside, it looks less like standing and more like queuing up. This is the Daily Show.